during one of the last questions towards the end there, and I know there was kind of a lot, we were talking a little bit about the importance of the sentient nature of God, rather than looking at God as being kind of this objective, impersonal force, but there's meaning and purpose within creation. And so there was a direct intent created by a conscious and sentient presence to then generate creation. Um, what could you kind of talk a little bit about the importance of identifying consciousness within God?
Yeah. So I think this also comes around because, I mean, we went over in the myth of materialism, all the arguments for consciousness not being emergent, not being secondary. So if that holds up, as I believe it does, then pantheists themselves have to answer this question within their doctrine. And, the question is, what role does consciousness play here? And so this maybe answers another point of like, why is pantheism so closely bleeding into modern nihilism? Well, it's because they, you know, they don't really have a integration of consciousness within. They sort of have the modern view of consciousness as, well, we're these beings who can see and experience stuff, but that's just sort of a random happenstance, and the real God is the just the life that's going on, whether we're witnessing it or not. And so once you come to the realization that consciousness is not necessarily localized, consciousness can act independent of space, independent of time, and it's not an emergent property, well, then, I mean, your whole whatever theory or metaphysics you have has to change and has to incorporate that. And pantheism, okay, now you have to deal with consciousness that it is at least non-local and not material based. So then what is it and how does it play in? And that clearly pushes you in the direction of the potential for God, even if he's this giant complex amalgamation of all creation, God being conscious as well. And then it's like, okay, and is he conscious of you? And then that's the more you walk down that road, the more you're going to stray away from direct pantheism because either God's conscious of you or he's not. Either one of those have implications. Um, and then if he is conscious of you, how does he relate to you? How does he feel about you? And then so then you're either in Christianity or paganism on that route. So I think it is a fundamental question: is how do you address the problem of consciousness? And I don't know of much pantheism that has tried to tackle that in any serious way. And I think it undoes pantheism as such. So um, and then in this chapter, that's what leads me into discussing deism, because I think anyone who's holding on to the sort of reasons why they would have liked pantheism, the most likely retreat once you realize, okay, that doesn't really hold up. If you take into account um, consciousness and you've accepted the idea that God is sort of this autonomous conscious being, then uh, you would retreat to deism, which would accept the consciousness of God and his role as creator and overseer of creation, but then you'd assert that he's kind of still aloof and distant, just like the pantheist God.
Like indifferent, just like, oh, I created this thing and that's cool. Let me move over here now, right?